The silent stalker. Amelia had always been cautious when walking home alone at night. Living in a small town, she never expected anything sinister to happen. However, on this particular night, the moon's feeble glow cast long, eerie shadows across the deserted streets, giving her an unsettling feeling. She quickened her pace, clutching her keys tightly between her trembling fingers. As she passed an abandoned building, a chilling breeze rustled through the trees, sending shivers down Amelia's spine. Her heart pounded in her chest, warning her that danger might be lurking nearby. Trying to reassure herself, she reminded her paranoid mind that she was only a few blocks away from her cozy apartment. Suddenly, Amelia heard footsteps echoing from behind, causing her to instinctively turn around. Her eyes widened in terror as a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a man, wearing a long black coat that seemed to blend with the night. The dim light revealed a sinister smile stretching across his pale face. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as the man slowly approached her. She wanted to scream, but fear silenced her. With each step, the man's gaze intensified, piercing through her soul. She mustered the courage to speak, her voice quivering. Who are you?" The man remained silent, his eyes fixated on her with a menacing stare. Amelia's heart raced, her mind racing for an escape plan. She desperately searched her surroundings for any sign of help, but the streets were deserted, devoid of life. As the man closed in, Amelia's fight-or-flight instincts kicked in. She made a split-second decision and turned to run, hoping she could outpace him. But her efforts were in vain. The man's long strides effortlessly closed the distance between them. Panic surged through her veins as she realized she wouldn't be able to outrun him. Amelia's mind raced, considering every possible option. She remembered a small alleyway up ahead, a shortcut she had never dared to venture into before. Without a second thought, she veered off the main road, her heart pounding louder with each step. The alley was dimly lit, and Amelia's footsteps echoed loudly, exposing her location. She tried to muffle her gasps, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She knew she couldn't hide for long, but she had to try. As she pressed herself against the cold brick wall, she prayed for a miracle. Minutes felt like hours as she listened intently for any sign of the man's approach. Then, in the distance, she heard the faint sound of footsteps growing louder. Panic surged through her veins once more. Amelia tried to control her breathing, but the terror was overwhelming. Suddenly, a metallic scraping sound resonated through the alley. The man was dragging a sharp object along the wall, slowly and deliberately. Amelia's heart pounded in her ears as the scraping sound drew closer. The man's chilling laughter filled the air, haunting her every thought. The walls of the alley seemed to close in on her, suffocating her with the weight of her impending doom. Just as she thought all hope was lost, a loud siren pierced through the night. The police had arrived, their flashing lights casting an ethereal glow upon the scene. The man froze for a moment, his eyes widening in surprise, before he disappeared into the darkness. Amelia collapsed to the ground, her body trembling from the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The police rushed to her side, offering words of comfort and safety. As she sat there, gasping for breath, she couldn't help but wonder how close she had come to becoming another victim of the silent stalker. From that day forward, Amelia vowed never to take her safety for granted. The memory of the man's chilling smile haunted her, serving as a constant reminder of the darkness that could lurk in the shadows. She would forever be grateful for her narrow escape, and she would never forget the sound of his scraping, mocking laughter. The Haunting of Hollow Hill. In the heart of the countryside, nestled among rolling hills, stood an old, decrepit mansion known as Hollow Hill. Its towering facade had weathered the test of time, but the house held a dark secret, a secret that echoed through the whispers of the townsfolk for generations. Sarah, a curious and adventurous young woman, couldn't resist the allure of the mansion's mysterious reputation. Fascinated by tales of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, she embarked on a perilous journey to unlock the secrets of Hollow Hill. With her backpack filled with investigative tools and a heart filled with trepidation, Sarah arrived at the mansion's grand entrance. The doors creaked ominously as she stepped into the foyer, its cold draft biting at her skin. The air was heavy with a palpable sense of unease, and she hesitated for a moment, contemplating the wisdom of her decision. Ignoring the nagging voice of doubt in her mind, Sarah pressed forward. The mansion's interior was cloaked in darkness, save for the faint moonlight filtering through the dust-covered windows. Every creak and groan seemed to whisper foreboding tales of the house's haunted past. As Sarah ascended the grand staircase, her footsteps echoed through the empty halls. She glanced nervously over her shoulder, sensing a presence that clung to her like a malevolent shadow. The temperature dropped, and her breath formed visible puffs in the frigid air. In the midst of her exploration, Sarah discovered a hidden door concealed behind a torn tapestry. Intrigued, she pushed it open, revealing a narrow, winding staircase that led deep into the bowels of the mansion. A flickering candle beckoned her, casting eerie shadows on the walls. With each step, the air grew heavy, as if a ghostly presence surrounded her. The walls whispered forgotten secrets, and the flickering candlelight played tricks on her mind. It felt as if time itself had stopped, leaving her trapped in a nightmarish labyrinth. As she descended further into the abyss, Sarah's heart raced, her nerves frayed to their limits. The faint sound of scratching and muffled whispers grew louder, echoing through the corridor. She pressed on, her curiosity overpowering her fear. Finally, Sarah reached a small, dimly lit room. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and a sickly sweet odor lingered. Shadows danced on the walls, revealing glimpses of tortured souls trapped in eternal torment. In the center of the room, she found a worn-out diary, its pages yellowed with age. With trembling hands, she began to read the harrowing tale of the mansion's former owner, a serial killer known as the Butcher of Hollow Hill. The diary recounted the grisly details of his heinous acts, describing how he lured unsuspecting victims into the mansion, capturing their screams of terror as trophies. It spoke of hidden chambers and secret passageways, where the butcher indulged in his sadistic pleasures. As Sarah absorbed the horrifying revelations, a chilling breeze brushed against her neck. The whispers grew louder, tormenting her mind. Shadows slithered across the walls, coalescing into the twisted forms of the butcher's victims. Panicked, Sarah turned to flee, but the door slammed shut, trapping her within the suffocating darkness. The walls closed in, and the anguished cries of the tortured souls reverberated through her very being. She stumbled through the labyrinthine maze, her heart pounding, desperately seeking an escape. The air grew thick with malevolence, suffocating her as she gasped for breath. The spirits of the victims pursued her relentlessly, their ghostly hands clawing at her flesh. Just as hope began to fade, Sarah stumbled upon a hidden passage, a forgotten tunnel that led to the outside world. The faint glow of daylight beckoned, offering salvation from the nightmare that engulfed Hollow Hill. Summoning her last ounce of strength, she sprinted through the tunnel, leaving behind the horrors of the mansion. Bursting through the exit, she collapsed onto the cold ground, gasping for air, grateful to be free. As Sarah lay there, catching her breath, she knew she had ventured too far into the darkness. The mansion had exacted a heavy toll on her soul, leaving scars that would never truly heal. And though she had escaped the clutches of Hollow Hill, its haunting presence would forever linger in her nightmares, a reminder of the unspeakable evil that resided within its walls. The Forgotten Doll. In the heart of a small, secluded town, surrounded by dense forests and haunting silence, stood an old Victorian house. Locals whispered of its tragic past, of a family who had mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Rumors spread like wildfire, painting a picture of a malevolent force that lurked within the decaying walls. Olivia, a young woman with an insatiable curiosity, couldn't resist the allure of the haunted house. Ignoring the warnings of the townsfolk, she ventured into the darkness, determined to uncover the secrets that had long been forgotten. As Olivia approached the house, a chill swept through her body, causing her to shiver involuntarily. The wind whispered eerie melodies through the trees, as if beckoning her to turn back. But she pressed forward, her heart pounding in her chest. Stepping across the threshold, Olivia found herself in a time-frozen world. The air was heavy with a suffocating stillness, and the house exuded a sense of impending doom. Dust-covered furniture lay untouched, as if waiting for the family's return. Her footsteps echoed ominously as she ventured deeper into the house. Shadows danced on the walls, their grotesque forms morphing into distorted shapes. Olivia's pulse quickened, her senses heightened, as she felt an unseen presence watching her every move. In an upstairs bedroom, she discovered a forgotten treasure, a porcelain doll, its delicate features frozen in an eternal smile. Its glassy eyes stared blankly, yet Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching her, its gaze following her every step. Taking the doll in her trembling hands, Olivia felt a sudden unease creep over her. Its porcelain skin felt cold and lifeless, sending a shiver down her spine. She tried to put it down, to distance herself from its eerie presence, but an inexplicable force compelled her to keep it close. As night fell, Olivia retreated to her own bedroom, the doll sitting ominously on her bedside table. Restless dreams plagued her sleep, filled with whispers and eerie giggles that echoed through her mind. Waking in a cold sweat, she found herself alone in the darkness. Moonlight cast long, eerie shadows across the room, and the doll's glassy eyes seemed to glimmer with a sinister light. Fear gripped Olivia's heart as she realized the doll had moved, its porcelain fingers now pointed towards the open bedroom door. Trepidation urged her to flee, to escape the grasp of this malevolent presence. But something held her back, an inexplicable force that compelled her to stay and confront the horrors that awaited her. As she ventured into the hallway, the house seemed to come alive. Whispers echoed through the walls, the floorboards creaked beneath her weight, and the air grew heavy with a palpable malevolence. Olivia's heart pounded in her chest, her breath shallow as she navigated the darkened corridors. Guided by an unseen hand, she found herself in the basement, a labyrinth of cobwebs and forgotten memories. The sound of dripping water echoed in her ears, mingling with her frantic heartbeat. The doll's presence felt overpowering, a beacon leading her deeper into the abyss. In the bowels of the basement, Olivia discovered a hidden room, an altar to darkness and despair. The walls were adorned with symbols she couldn't comprehend, and an altar stood at the center, covered in black cloth. Fear gnawed at her soul, but her curiosity pushed her forward. She lifted the black cloth to reveal an array of old photographs, the missing family, their faces etched with terror and despair. The realization struck her like a lightning bolt. The house had claimed their lives, trapping their souls within its cursed walls. A gust of wind extinguished the flickering candlelight, plunging Olivia into pitch-black darkness. Whispers surrounded her, their voices growing louder and more insistent. The doll, once a mere artifact, came to life in her hands, its porcelain limbs moving with a sickening fluidity. Paralyzed by fear, Olivia watched as the doll's once smiling lips twisted into a sinister grin. Its glassy eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its tiny hands reached towards her throat. The whispers grew louder, urging her to surrender to the darkness, to join the tormented souls that had come before her. Summoning every ounce of strength, Olivia fought against the suffocating grip of the doll. With a desperate scream, she threw it against the wall, shattering it into countless pieces. Silence fell over the house as the whispers faded away, leaving behind an eerie stillness. Breathing heavily, Olivia stumbled out of the basement, leaving the haunted house behind. She knew she had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death, a fate consumed by the darkness that resided within the forgotten doll. Years later, Olivia would find herself plagued by nightmares, haunted by the memory of the doll's malevolence. The echoes of that night would forever linger, a chilling reminder that some secrets are best left buried in the depths of forgotten history.